Right, so our next speaker is Caroline, and her bio says she's the UK's leading dragon lady, which is, yeah, I think that's pretty true. And I don't know if any of you have seen this amazing book. As you can see, I've read it most of the way through now. If you find that, you'll absolutely love it. But Caroline is also, so she's an author, she's a channeler, she's worked with dragons since 2005. So I feel like a real newbie. And she's also got some oracle cards, which are amazing. She's also a Reiki master, a dragon guided Reiki master, a dragon healing practitioner, a crystal healing practitioner, and into meditation and mindful meditation. So I think we've got an expert on dragons here. So Caroline, welcome. And I hand the floor over to you.
Kev, thank you so much. What an awesome event. Wow. Thank you so much for organising it, having me on, and you guys for joining us. My God, what speakers. I had no idea there were so many speakers across the globe that do dragon, because we're all lone practitioners, whether you're, like me, working in the field publicly, or whether you're following your own personal practice. We're all lone practitioners. So what an event to bring us all together. I am so grateful. So the dragons are like, oh my God, finally somebody's done it. So thank you so much. I want to say, I was really wondering what to say. I've got to say, I was really nervous about today. It's like, oh God, I'm with my peers. I might be a published author and an international speaker and all that jazz. But then when you're thrown into the pit with your peers, it's like, Jesus, you've got to up your game, girl. So I don't know quite how I'm going to follow these guys who have been phenomenal. But what I realized yesterday, because I thought, come on, give me something for tomorrow, that they were just like dead silent, nothing. I thought, give me a clue. And it was feel into the energy. So I was in the bath last night. They always give it to me, I'm in the bath or the shower. I was feel into the energy. What is it? You know what to do. Stop blocking yourself. We all do it. Anyway. And my word, the energy that was building was immense. And what I got, the message that I got was that there's going to be huge frequency downloads today. And obviously vast healings, having just followed on from, was it Kelly was on before me, wasn't it? And then all the other speakers that I've sort of been dipping in and out all afternoon. And so there's been massive frequencies coming into the planet. There's been huge shifts and healings for people, whether you're on, if you're on replay or whether you're on live. And it's like, and you want me to do what with that? And so what the dragons have asked me to do is actually to ground it. And they've asked me to work with, those of you that are on live now and those of you on replay, is to anchor the frequency, because none of this is going to actually fully hold unless we anchor it. And so Kev's beautifully plugged my book, so thank you for that. And in chapter 8 is the dragons of the land, and that's what I want to talk about, is the dragons of the land. So we've already touched on this differently, because I've dipped in and out and different speakers already touched on this, and I love our collective journey. Our similarities are phenomenal. Anyway, so with the dragons of the land, you guys will all be familiar with the ley lines. The dragons gave me the matrix, which I now know as I call them like dragon lines, and it's what carries our collective consciousness and what carries the collective energy around the globe. And it connects to all the sacred sites. And if you look at it from space, this is how the dragon showed it to me back in the early 2000s, about 2002, when they first showed me this. It's like if you think of a spider's web that goes around the earth, but they're diamond shape. And at each point of the diamond, there's like sparks of light. And those sparks of light tend to be either sacred sites, holy wells, or something like that, or ancient sites of some description. And some of these, it's like the web of light around the planet. And some of these webs I've initially thought they were broken, but actually what they are is they've become distorted, or they've become damaged or blocked. And I've not done this work. I've only done this work with literally a handful of people. And the dragon said, your job today is to do a mass earth healing so we can anchor the frequencies that have been brought about by today's summit, because this is huge. I'll get chills, goosebumps. So because we are global, and because the effects are going to be felt for days coming, and people are in many different places around the world, they've asked that I actually ask you to connect to your land where you are. Feel into your land. Where I will take you through the meditation. Feel into the land of where you are. Ask your dragons to guide you, if you know your dragons. There are dragons there that will support you, the dragons of the land, because there are dragons that support and look after these sites. And they're tired. I connected the dragon of the Tor, and she's tired. It's because we go to these places and, we go there because they make us feel amazing. But what we do unconsciously, we drop our emotional baggage. And the dragon's job is to clean it. But there's so many of us doing this around the world, especially with modern society, that actually they can't keep up with it all. And it's because it's been done for eons. And so they're asking for our support to help them heal, clean, cleanse, support the dragon lines that connect all the sacred sites around the world, that connects us to our land. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope it does. It makes sense to me, but this is Caroline's world here. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to also, before we settle into meditation, I'm sure your dragons are already with you, because there's a huge energy of dragon here. So I'd like you to just take a minute to connect into your land where you are. Now, if you want to visualize yourself somewhere else, it can be, it can be Machu Picchu, it can be Mount Shasta, it can be Uluru, it can be Glastonbury, it doesn't matter where it is. But obviously have that connection, because we're so spread around the world, is to everybody, wherever they are in your locale, to connect to your land where you are. Oh, I can feel that shift. So just close your eyes. Just take a minute. And as everybody has said this afternoon, and this is true dragon language, connect to your heart. Connect through your breath to your heart. Dragons are heart-centered, heart-based beings. Allow yourself to just drop down. Oh, that's better. And just allow yourself to connect to the earth, to the mother that supports us, provides for us unconditionally. And visualize yourself in your chosen location. And in your mind's eye, you'll see the energy lines, the dragon lines that run from the site that you're on. To the next place. And this may be a river, it may be a mountain, it may be a grove of trees. and it will connect on and on and on around the world. The dragons of the land were there to greet you, the guardians of those sites. And with intention, with light, but above all, love and gratitude from your heart, flow with the dragon along these lines, with the intention of healing, of clearing, of balancing, connecting a web of light around the planet. Follow the flow. It may not always be straight. Staying with the breath, with your heart. Healing, balancing, clearing the dragon lines. Wherever you find yourself, wherever you have moved to around the world, connect into your dragon again and the dragon of the land. Just reaffirm your connection to your heart. And allow the frequencies that have been brought in today to anchor through you. The healing, the information, the blueprints, whatever you have received, anchor it in to the dragon lines. Allow it to flow through you. And into the earth. Into the lines. Setting the intention. The energy created today is for the goodness, well-being of the planet and all who stay with her. For our own growth, our own development, our own understanding and compassion. And when you're ready, just acknowledge the dragons of the land, thanking them for their time, their patience with us as human doings, for the care they give to our sights. But also thank yourself for being here, for showing up, for doing the work. Because each one of us is playing our part on working with the collective and the planet. And when you're ready, just have a wiggle of fingers and a wiggle of toes. And just gently open your eyes. Is everybody back and okay? That was a little bit shorter than maybe I would like to have done, but I think it's with a collective, it's immensely powerful. So thank you for participating. So, dragons. There is a bit in my book about my journey and how it started. And there's so many people have said today, and I am absolutely no exception. When dragons showed up, it was like, really? That's a bit like unicorns. Not going there. But they kept sort of nudging at me. So that was, I first met them in about 2002, 2003. By 2005, I got a full-on dragon slap and landed with 48 dragons. It's like, what the dickens do I do with 48 dragons? And they gave me my life's work, which was my book, my cards, to teach and things like that. So yeah, and the rest is history, as they say. And what I find really interesting is that, like other people that have spoken today, we've dipped in and out of dragons. You know, we've done dragons, then we sort of parked it for a little while. And I think it's because we have to integrate. And again, being lone practitioners of dragon, you have, you know, until today, really, we had nobody to bounce off. And there's always, you know, there was somebody a bit quirky like you that will talk dragon with you. You know, I've discovered that over the years. But it's a very lonely path to tread, being a dragon practitioner. And so I was reticent about bringing these guys into the world. It's like, what am I doing? But you know, we got there in the end. And so now I do lectures and talks and teaching and a little bit of one-to-one. And what's really interesting, and it's something that that Kelly summed up beautifully, actually, is although I'm a dragon channel, dragons are experiential, and people get a little bit disappointed that I don't tell them about their dragons. And I like the way that that Kelly summed it up. It's because, and actually, in essence, dragons are experiential, and they very rarely allow me to tell people about their dragons. I'm a guide to take you in to meet your dragon team, however your team looks. And if because dragons, you connect to dragons through the heart. So me telling you or telling somebody about their dragons doesn't empower them to have that heart connected relationship with their dragons. And so I'm a guide, I'm a channel. But my work is to guide and empower you to take you along your dragon journey, wherever or however that may look. So that's sort of really what I wanted. So much time have we got left? We've got about 20 minutes left. So dragons are vast, and there's so many people that have connected with the galactic dragons. And it's really interesting that although there are, I think it's 4 in my deck and from the galactic clan, actually the dragons that I work with are earth-based. And so it's interesting that I've done the earth work today to anchor with you guys, to anchor that energy in. So very much the work that I do is I follow the wheel of the year with the dragons. And we've just been through summer solstice. Oh, that was incredible this year. So I avoid, because I live between Avebury and Stonehenge, and I avoid Stonehenge like the plague, especially at this time of the year when we have the festivals and things on. And I've worked at Avebury over Stonehenge at the hen shop. But this year I was actually with a group of friends from around the world. I was on St. Catherine's Hill in Winchester, and we did a meditation. So 2 of us were physically present together, and then there was 2 others of us that were in different parts of the world. And we connected with actually with our power animals, but the dragons were very present. And it's just interesting how I connect with the dragons of the land. It's just, yeah, so that's really me. There's not really much more for me to say. My job is done as far as what the dragons wanted me to share with you. So if that's all right with Kev, I'm happy to answer questions if there's any questions. It's
Yeah, I think there's one question. It says, what is the name of and where can we find your deck? And what is the title of your book? This is the title of the book.
It's How to Live with Dragons. And it's published by Watkins Publishing. And my deck is the Dragon Path Oracle. Again, published by Watkins. So that's you know, and you can have one or the other. You don't have to have both. There are references within the book to the deck, but you don't have to have both. They both work perfectly independently. And the book has been put together to take you along a journey with the dragons. So it sort of builds in essence, as it were, to take you along your dragon path. But for those that are already dragon riders that are more experienced, you can literally just dip in and out of it. But as you see fit, you don't have to read it cover to cover. It's literally been put together in such a way, as was guided by the dragons, that is completely freeform. You can literally just open it a page and get your daily guidance. You know, it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a cover to cover read. So there we go.
There's a few more questions.
Was that fantastic?
It says, would you share who your personal dragons are and how you came to first become aware of them?
Okay, I love this actually. That's a lovely question, and again it goes back to something else that was asked earlier in the summit. It's about dragons and names, and dragons just don't do names. Dragons didn't have a native tongue as we understand language. Dragons don't need to talk the way we talk and communicate the way we talk, and so when I started asking about names, they have no need for names. It's a label thing that's a human hang-up they've decided. And it's like, really? You know, it took me ages to get names. And in my deck, all the dragons, apart from 1 or 2, have got titles, because that's to do with the job that they do. Because they have no need of names. And eventually my guide, he got so fed up with me. He said, oh, for goodness sake, I'm Gerald with 2 R's. And I have to introduce him as Gerald. He's here sniggering. I have to introduce him as Gerald with 2 R's. And Gerald, when he comes in and he hangs his head over my left shoulder, and he likes his face being stroked. He just thinks that's wonderful. So, but dragons, you know, don't have a use for names. I've got another one that's not my spirit guide. That's Solomon, and it's entirely up to you. Going back to an earlier question, from my perspective, on whether or not you share your dragon's name. It's your dragon journey is a personal journey with you, and so whether you share that information, names, or the work you do with your dragons, is completely personal preference. My guys don't have a problem with it. I certainly don't have a problem with it, and it doesn't affect anything in my experience. So it's what you prefer. So they're the sort of 2 main dragons that I work with, and the other lot are just for the collective, as it were. My guardian dragon, I have no idea what his name is. He's just there, and I've got absolutely no idea what his name is. And he's been, our guardian dragons have been with us from the dot of time. So wherever our very first incarnation was, on whatever planet, galaxy, or dimension, our guardian dragon has been with us, and we'll have been with them through subsequent lifetimes, either aware or unaware of them, depending on what our lifetime entailed. So that was a convoluted answer to a question. Hope that helps.
Sounded good to me. Oh, we've got a few more. They're all coming in now. Could Caroline tell us more about the Magdalene and Blu-ray dragons? As it's popped up quite a bit today.
Yeah, do you know what? I've noticed the Magdalene connection. So Magdalene, when I was revisiting the deck, because I was given all the information for deck in 2005, and I was revisiting the deck, the dragons started to merge and sort of blend and grew. So obviously I'd grown a lot from 2005 to 2017, because when the deck, I went back to revisit the deck fully, and Magdalene kept popping up. And it's like, oh, I want you in the deck. And she absolutely point blank refused. So she then came around again, and her sapphire ray dragons are about sovereignty. So this is about empowerment, owning your space. And she works with 7. This is again my perspective. She works with 7 dragons of the sapphire ray. So there's the dragons of light are a part of a collective clan. And then under the dragons of light, you've got the sapphire rays, you've got the ruby rays, the platinum rays, the diamond rays, the gold rays, and everything else. So Magdalene is about our sovereignty, ownership, boundaries come in with Magdalene, but actually owning your place in the world. And her dragons are here to support you do that. Because the dragons are about bravery, about stepping out and stepping up. And Magdalene has that beautiful, calm tranquility that's completely heart-centered. And so it's an embodiment, I think it's an embodiment of the two, is that full dragon power, but being the heart-centeredness of Magdalene. That's my understanding, how I see that. Hope that helps.
I think it does. And then there's more coming in. Do animals have their own dragon guides? And if so, are they elementals? Interesting.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'll have to come back to that.
Yeah. Do animals have their own?
My immediate thought is no, because they don't need them the same way that we do. Because animals live completely in the moment. Mm-hmm. My word, we could learn so much from animals if we lived in the moment. So they don't. So our dragons are here to help us grow, heal, and develop, both spiritually and our pain, or our emotional pain, body pain, all that kind of stuff. Which is why we have dragon. Whereas animals don't have the same needs, the same drivers that we have, and they have the same kind of reasoning that we have, because they live completely in the moment of, I need I need food. Where's my next, partner? Because it's that time of the year, and survival. So, yeah, I don't feel they do need them. They're not the same way that we do.
Cool. And then Kim has asked, I feel my dragons around me sometimes, but don't seem to hear anything specific. Is that normal?
Very. That's incredibly normal. Again, it's back to like dragons not having a formal language that we would understand.
Yeah.
So, I rarely hear the dragons, unless they really shout because they want to get my attention. I don't hear the dragons because I work with claircognizance. So it's really common for people to have a knowing and a feeling and a sensing, unless you're very clairvoyant, which I'm not massively clairvoyant. It's really common for people to have that clair knowing, or that claircognizance with dragons, rather than the hearing. And if you you know, you can hear them audibly and you can see them. I am so very jealous.
Cool. That's good to know. And then, what does this one say? When I asked who my dragon was, she told me, "We are called dot dot dot." I asked for clarification, and she said it was she and I, our name. Could you explain this? Does that make sense?
Can you read that again, Kev, please?
Yeah. When I
You can
asked,
feel into that, sorry.
that's right. No. When I asked who my dragon was, she told me, "We are called," and it said dot dot dot. I asked for clarification, and she said it was she and I, our name. Can you explain that?
So I can feel that in the heart.
Hmm.
So it feels like there's a blending of dragon and human here. So there's a dragon rider and the dragon energy. It feels like I want to say she feels like she's cocooning this person. And so her name and your name will be a blend of. So what I want to say here is go into your heart and how does it feel? Stop trying to think it. Stop trying to hear it. How does it feel? Don't be logical. Just feel into it. I can feel it, but it's not for me to give you. I can feel it in the heart. And it's about what I think she's trying to do is ask you to connect to her through your heart. And then you'll get the answers. But also dragons will use the world around you to give answers. They'll a billboard, an advert on the TV, something pop up on Facebook. A friend will say something, a passage in a book, and then will suddenly keep saying the same name somewhere. So look for the synchronicities in the world around you if you really can't get into your heart and feel it. And write it down. And as you start to write it down, maybe write it down a few times, then it will start to shift and take shape for you. Because when you start writing, you actually then get out of your head and it will maybe become more apparent. And dragons and names aren't really a thing. So don't beat yourself up over that one.
Beautiful. And some more. It says, can you tell us about Avery Matriarch in the deck? Where did she come from? How did she come to you?
Okay, that's quite a story. So the Avery Matriarch, I was in Avery with a girlfriend and I was doing some healing work with her. And I was in one of the quadrants. So I was in the moon quadrant. And I said to my friend, there's a dragon here. And I could see her in the landscape of Avery. And her tail started one end and her head was the other. I went, oh my goodness, because we were doing ancestral healing at the time. So I was doing some work with her that was really old, ancient ancestral stuff. And I went, oh my word, she's ancestral healing. And then it just developed. So that's where I first met Avery Matriarch. And from that very first connection with her through doing an ancestral, some healing work with a girlfriend. So seeing her in the landscape, she then came into a 4 days workshop. So yeah, that's the Avery Matriarch. So she's all about our ancestral healing, wounds, and actually it's the pain, the ancestral pain that isn't asked to carry. It gets carried down usually the female line, the matriarchal line, and it's the pain that has been carried from generation to generation to generation. And anybody that comes to me to work with the Avery Matriarch, you've agreed that this pain stops with you and you can heal the ancestral line, but also you heal the future line. So future family members don't have to carry that pain forward because it's not theirs to bear anymore, it's yours to bear. And part of your job when you came in is, if you do this work with me, is that you've agreed that you're going to start that healing work and start that healing process. with the Avebury matriarch. Yeah, so that's how she came about.
Somebody's added, can you talk about her male companion?
Oh my goodness, that was funny. So you're talking about the Dragon of Silbury. I'm going to get shouted at now. So, oh God, a few years ago now, I was driving. I used to work in Avebury regularly, and I became aware of the dragon trapped under Silbury Hill. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, he needs releasing. Until I tuned into his energy. I have never met a really arsey dragon. I've never met a dragon that was seriously grumpy with humankind. I was like, and I backed off. It's like, okay, I'm not going in there. And over a period of months, I worked with him, and I then ended up meeting with a group of 50 people, a pagan group from up in Essex. There's 50 of us were stood around Silbury Hill sending this dragon healing. And then we left him, they went up to the Long Barrow. And we're walking back down for the Long Barrow, and somebody said to me, who is that dragon at Silbury Hill? And he's the dragon of Silbury Hill. And literally, probably one of the only times I've heard dragon. It was literally this booming voice across the landscape, bellowed at me, I am the guardian of Avebury. Talk about being put in my place. He was furious. Because I sort of dismissed it as he's the guardian of Avebury. He's the dragon of Silbury Hill. God, he was mad. Yeah, and so then the following, it would have been the following spring equinox. I would then work with the girl that brought the girls down from Essex, and her and I, we'd been working with him intermittently, and we then released him at the spring equinox the following year. So we met at Samhain, and then we released him then the following spring equinox. And he's now he was chained, he was tied, he was chained, he was staked through his tail, and he's got this magnificent scar, like a wonky cross on his tail. And he's very rarely at Silbury now. And he will come flying around Avebury, and he follows the lines, those of Avebury, Glastonbury, out to Stonehenge, and Woodhenge and that area. Yeah, so yes, he's quite a character.
Sounds like it. Well, and we're out of time. Caroline, thank you very much for answering those questions, and thank you for everything. And I'll just show you your book again.
Thank you. Can I just do a quick plug? That's the cards.
Yep.
all good booksellers, all good bookshops, and the internet. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on, Kevin and Barbara. And I really wish you the greatest success with the rest of the summit. I will tune in when I can.
Thank you very much. My day.
Big love, guys.